Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight, this Tuesday night. We've got a really great info session put together for you. And we're going to share some information that we hope you find life-changing, like many of us have. My name is Tracey Flintoff, and I am from the Pacific Northwest. I am up in the mountains near Buckley tonight. And I'm going to have my friend Holly join us a little bit late. They had an accident on her drive back to Utah. So we're going to move her testimonial to a little bit later in our sharing tonight. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started. And what we're going to be talking about tonight is speaking to any of those people out there who might be able to relate with any one of these images here. If you're tired of being sick and tired and in pain, then you came to the right place, because we're going to talk about helping you live your best life naturally and making these pictures turn into happy, smiling faces and active people. And what we're talking about tonight is a wearable light technology, and it's activating your own low-level infrared light to help you feel and look young again. And this is a patented product. This is the only company in the world that has this product. And it actually was invented in San Diego, of all things. And none of us have known about it because we were just talking about the powers that be, the FDA not allowing certain things to be shared. And this is one of them, sadly. So you're on here tonight because a friend cared and invited you. But what we're going to talk about is how to elevate, to activate, and to regenerate wearing a light technology. And first, I'm going to take you back a little bit in time here. A couple pretty smart fellas, Albert Einstein, the father of modern physics, saying the future of medicine is in frequency. And that was way back when. Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, and he talked about the doctors of the future not looking into pills, but instead looking at the prevention and the cause of the disease. So that's really what we're going to talk about tonight. And the reality is, you probably have never heard of this from your doctor because honestly, there are no pharmaceutical reps to educate your doctors. And this is not a medical device. What we're talking about is a holistic wellness product. That's the way the FDA has categorized this. And I'm not a medical professional, and I'm certainly not your medical professional. And I will not be diagnosing or treating any medical conditions tonight. And there's certain keywords that we have to be careful of to stay compliant and not get the company in trouble. I always do my best job to be a good girl, mind my P's and Q's, but sometimes it gets hard. But I'm going to show you lots of pictures because I can show pictures. But we do always want you to work with your doctor regarding what your issues might be. And it's not so much that the doctors know anything about these patches, but they will be able to monitor and evaluate your baseline biomarkers and help you as your body repairs and regenerates itself, perhaps help you get off of some of your meds, like I've been able to, and my mom's been able to, and a lot of my friends that have been using this have. I didn't realize that in 4.5 months, my thyroid that was always problematic and had me on thyroid meds for 15 years. 4.5 months, my thyroid regenerated. I got to get off of that. I haven't been on it for 2 years. That was a game changer for me. But what we're talking about tonight is something that you've probably seen a lot of and heard some about in red light therapy, blue light therapy. And these are some examples of modern day technology using light to make change in the body. The term is called photobiomodulation, and that's just light making change. So you see the red light wand here. Sometimes they can be a red light pad, laser light, infrared saunas, MRIs. These are all forms of light making change in the body. And the reality is, we have all deal with a central problem in our lives, and that is the older we get, the faster we age, and the slower we repair. And that is all due to the natural decline in our body's number one system. And that is number one repair system, I should say. And that's the decline of stem cells. And stem cells are what creates the baby in utero. So when we have a newborn baby, they smell fresh and new, and their skin is so pristine, and everything about that baby is new and wonderful. And when they are born, they are just full of these stem cells. And you'll notice the second chart here, the little age 1 to 12, they do start diminishing and coming down a bit, and that is just the natural decline, sadly, of life. And that's the way life is designed. And by the time we reach age 30, we have lost about 50% of those repair cells. When we're age 60, I'm almost 60. I have less than 10% of those repair cells, those prevention cells. And that's when we start getting into a more rapid decline of health and issues, just because those cells that kept us young and healthy are gone. The good thing is they're still in our body. They've just burnt out. They're light bulbs that no longer have the spark of light. And what we're going to talk about is how we bring that light back, to bring them back to life and make change. So, again, something you've probably never heard about from your doctor, because most of them don't yet know about this. But if we could show you a safe and affordable way to change the trajectory of your aging, might you be interested? We hope so. Because a lot of us have family and friends, or you've maybe heard about this on the news. And when they are looking to regenerate something in their body, maybe it's a joint, maybe it is a bone on bone knee, maybe it's a hip or shoulder. A lot of people are turning to stem cell injections, which we don't really love those because they hurt. They are also the best stem cells in our country are not available to us any longer, and we are forced to go out of country. So Panama, Greece, Germany, those are good places, very expensive places to go get those injections. But the best ones are cord blood because those have what they call pluripotent stem cells. And that is a blank. So it can become whatever cell your body needs to repair. And so if you're having a mental issue, you need some of those pluripotents in your brain to make a change. But the reality is, when you do get these stem cell injections, they are somebody else's DNA. They're not your own bodies, and our bodies are designed to fight foreign pathogens and things that don't belong. So a lot of those end up not working well. They are also expensive. They're not always effective. A high percentage of these are just plain old rejected. And the reality is, the best way to get your own stem cells to repair and prevent, drum roll please, that best way would be wearing a patch. The X39 is the most hailed thing on this planet these days for making change in the body. And it's patented, and it is activating and raising a GHK copper peptide in the body. And when you have enough of that copper peptide, then those dormant repair cells come back to life. The way this patch works is it's body heat activated. It's reflecting our own low-level infrared light into the body to elevate peptides. We wear these for 12 hours on to activate and repair, and then we take a break for 12 hours off. Very similar to the circadian rhythm of night and day. So we're just mirroring that. And we repeat that process day in and day out. We want to make sure we drink a lot of good water, and we want water that still has the minerals in it. So you're looking for stream water as opposed to factory purified water. You need the minerals so that the cells pull that water in and hydrate at the cellular level, and that allows them to make big change. But I've got a short little video here, and I'm going to let you get a nice overview of what these patches are doing by just watching the video.
Light, an ancient form of energy that goes back to the dawn of time. For us, it all begins with the sun, the source of light and life for our entire solar system. Even Einstein concluded that everything we're made of contains light. All life originates with the sun through photosynthesis. Plants and vegetation collect the light, and all living creatures emit light. Humans actually emit infrared light, which can be seen with night vision devices. We've known for centuries that light has many effects on the body. LifeWave's phototherapy patches use light to stimulate the body's natural healing systems, providing specific health benefits. Here's how the technology works. First, a patch is applied to specific points on the body. Where the patch covers the skin, infrared light emitted from the body is reflected back into the tissue. This stimulates the skin, which in turn stimulates specific regions of the brain. The brain then taps into the body's own natural flow of energy and the ability to heal itself. Let's take a look at why this is important on a cellular level. For example, a number of our patch products help counteract free radicals, oxygen molecules that damage cell proteins and contribute to visible signs of aging. When the body is stimulated through phototherapy to release its own antioxidants, these free radicals are neutralized naturally. LifeWave phototherapy patches promote an environment that enables the body to optimize its restorative powers and provide specific health benefits, all without the use of harmful drugs or chemicals, all helping you to stay healthy and young. To find out more, contact your distributor or visit lifewave.com. LifeWave. Live long, live well.
I never get tired of hearing that. Oops. Okay, let's see. Just 1 minute here. Let me go out. There we go. Caught up here. Why is that putting that in there? Sorry about that. Okay, are you guys seeing something that says secret sauce showing athletes? Just want to make sure the right thing is showing on the screen. Okay, I'm hoping you're seeing what I'm seeing.
We are. I am.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Appreciate that, Jeff. So these were developed 20 years ago in San Diego for the United States Navy SEALs. And they were successful using these to help keep those guys in the military and not kick them out for the use of stimulants and caffeine and sadly amphetamines. And that's what some of the guys were turning to because they were pushing their bodies. They were living on dark submarines, and that brings on depression. A lack of light is just not good for anyone. And for some of us, myself included, I am a craver of light. Just came back from a cruise in the Caribbean, and I was never so happy as this time of the year to be in heat and light. It just makes you feel good. But these ended up in the hands of Michael Phelps, and he's really the athlete that put this company on the map. And you might remember back in Beijing, there was controversy around him because he was smoking every swimmer out there. And a lot of countries were very threatened by him and they turned him in. They thought he was doping. He had to be doing performance enhancing drugs to beat everyone by a mile. But the reality is, he was wearing these patches. The two patches you see on David Beckham's chest right there are the patches he was wearing. They burn fat for fuel of the mitochondria. So they give endurance, they give recovery, they help bigger muscles build, but they give a lift in the cognitive energy and the joy and the euphoria. And you don't have to be an athlete to appreciate the qualities, but Serena and Venus Williams love to wear them on their wrists. Tom Brady could have never played NFL football so late in his career without the aid of a regenerative patch like what this is. But 5 years ago, 2019, the inventor and founder of this company, David Schmidt, spent a lot of time in the lab to come up with this most amazing holy grail of health, and that is the X39, bringing back that peptide that allows those dormant, active repair cells to come back to life. I almost said the word I'm not supposed to say. I have to catch myself. But this is our very dear friend, Marcy. And Marcy had three types of fast growing cells: breast, lymph, and skin, and an aggressive skin cancer that never goes into remission. And her doctor told her that would be the one that would take her out. You can see her here. That's after radiation and chemo in 2019. She was living in recliner chairs and counting down her days here on Earth. And she really thought her days were numbered when her naturopath gave her 10 of the X39. She started detoxing the chemo out of her mouth, out through her skin on her back. And on about day 7, she got a new energy and hope and optimism. And she decided, I am not going to give up, and I'm gonna make it. Well, 5 years later, I have even more pictures of her, but I only have this one in the PowerPoint. She's still here and she's still completely in remission. Even that skin fast growing cell type of thing that they said would never go away, it went away. And she's made it her mission to educate as many as she can. And she puts a lot of her money into resources like this website. And if you've never visited it, I encourage you, start x39now.com. And there are some fantastic things on here. So if you want to learn more or you want to share this with someone and you don't know how to share it, you don't have to be the expert. Let these doctors that are on here, they each have their own area of expertise, a cardiologist, an acupuncture doctor, and she says this is a no-brainer because this is acupuncture without the needles. We're moving energy, we're unblocking blocked energy. That's pain. And that's what we're going to talk more about in just a few minutes. Here's a top esthetician down in Vegas, chiropractors, lots of great resources. If you have somebody who really is into science and they need to see the data, this is the section. You just keep scrolling till you come to this science community. You can read about all 100 age reversal patents this company holds. You can go in and look at information on 90 plus clinical trials. Those trials were done all over the world by independent labs, which is really key. My favorite is this age reversal with GHK copper peptide, because that copper peptide is a fountain of youth. That was discovered about 50 years ago. And you might think back to when people started wearing copper bracelets. It's because of that peptide and what it does. And there are studies, like I mentioned, of what this combination in this patch can do. But after 6 weeks of wearing the X39, the participants lowered their cardiovascular age by an average of 8 weeks. That's pretty incredible. There's really nothing out there that can do that. There are, you know, pharmaceutical drugs that can maybe help mask things, help slow down some things. Sadly, they usually create a side effect that's unfavorable for the body. But for every day you wear this patch, the cardiovascular system is getting about a day and a third younger. That is really remarkable. And they also did a study on brain health. And I love this because I'm a personal um, story with my brain. My menopause brain forced me to retire at the age of 56. Didn't want to, but I had no choice because I couldn't do my job anymore. But this 77-year-old woman here with dementia, this is a baseline. What you see in session 1, where you see the orange and the red, that's inflammation. And we're going to talk a lot more about inflammation. That's that swelling, the heat, and putting pressure on blood flow in the brain, which is never good. And she started wearing the X39. So 3 weeks in, she came back for her first check-in in session 2. You can see what the body is doing. The patch is just a tool. It gives the body the light that it needs at a particular angle to bring back that peptide, GHK, that then brings back the repair cells. This is not a perfectly balanced brain, but look at how much cooler that brain is compared to the hot brain she started with. So she comes back 3 weeks later, checks in again, now session 3. Look at that beautiful brain. For her, it was a perfectly balanced brain. That took 6 weeks. And if you look at the balance of the brain matter, we see at 80% on the one side and the smaller amount, 20%. That is the perfect coherence of a brain in good health. And when we get a brain that's more 50-50, like her in session 1, that's when we have decline. And that can be at a young age. That can be something like, maybe an ADHD, maybe it's something on the spectrum, but it doesn't have to necessarily stay there because of this new tool. And like I said, we have to be careful because of the FDA. And I'm going to quickly go through these. I just want to give you an idea of the range of things that can happen with this. because we can have a terrible snowboard accident, land on our face, and 5 days later go to a job interview and rock it. That's amazing. Open heart surgery scar. 1 year of Mother Nature's healing is that middle picture. Add X39 for just 1 month and look at the contouring. This is the power of collagen. Collagen coming back into the body, filling in the void, recontouring the texture of that skin. And the longer the person wears this, the better that's going to get. But what we're talking about here is age reversal. And we hear a lot about anti-aging, especially anything in the skincare industry, hair industry. It's always anti-aging. But that would be stopping where you are right now. And if you don't like the age or the look, what you've become, you don't want to stay there. Let's go backwards. And that's what this is all about. And so this is my friend, Dr. Harmon. He's from Meridian, Idaho. He helped me with my father-in-law when he got diagnosed with rapid onset cognitive issue that caused him to lose all of his words, his personality, and his memories. I can't say the word, but I think you know what I'm talking about. So this very kind man helped me figure out which patches to use and where we put them. But this man had his own story. He had a heart condition that he was born with, but he didn't know about it until late in life. He started wearing these patches, and his cardiologist, when they went back in to do another workup before he had to have a knee replacement, they realized the heart blockage he had always had in that right branch was completely gone. The body had regenerated that heart and repaired it. So when you go from, a diseased heart and you get that heart regenerated, look at this. You go from looking like grandpa dude to hot dude. And his nurses kept saying, John, do you know the color of your hair at the back here is turning brown? It started at the back and it worked forward. And the hair color change happens for some people when they are in super, super optimum health. You have to have lower stress and eat really healthy. That's probably never going to happen for me because, I like my margarita every now and then, my cookie here and there, but that's okay. Other great things are happening in my body, even if my hair color maybe isn't going to go back like his. But this lady here, Mandy, is from Australia. And she volunteered early on when this first came out. She couldn't wait to be one of David's um, demonstrators. And she starts out here looking like grandma. And look at how the collagen and the hyaluronic acid starts filling in. Her lips start getting thicker. Her eyes are getting brighter. I mean, it's not just about pretty skin and hair. This is vitality. You can see the energy. She is just a whole different person. She goes from grandma to granddaughter in a year. Skin repair. That turkey neck that starts sagging when we bring back the collagen and the hyaluronic acid, those things get tighter. The ability to regenerate the discolorization of a birthmark, that's huge. Can you imagine his dating life? And then varicose veins. Of course, the veins are there. We have to have them, but we don't want to see them. So let's bring back that collagen, that nice little cushioning to camouflage them a bit. But I like to say this is better than Botox because you can have any sort of photo damage. And that was me. I was a sun girl and I still am, but I'm not wearing it like I used to. But look at this lady here. She was going to get married and she wanted to wear a strapless gown. And her girlfriend turned her on to an Alavita Trio system. I will tell you in a little bit here about that. But look at that lady, just radiant. But you can actually do a full facelift by wearing a combination of these patches. No needles, no scalpels, no sutures, just patches. And hormone regulation. The body is getting a tool that allows it to get back into balance. Took this woman about 6 weeks to get her cystic acne under control. This man here, in about 5 weeks, he actually regenerated hair and filled in his bald spots. Autoimmune, toxin-based skin issues. So here we have vitiligo, and this fellow here in 3 months. Look at the change for the fellow on the top. The guy on the bottom, that's 1 year later. Look at that difference. That skin has the ability to go back and be beautiful again. It just needs to get the toxicity out of the body. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. This fellow here is actually a friend of Cami's, and for, I believe it was 15 years, and I believe he might have had 20 procedures, or it could be the reverse, 20 procedures in 15 years. Anyway, it's a bunch of procedures. They never could get it under control until he started wearing these patches. And in 2 months, those fast growing cells calmed down and started minding their manners and went back into remission. So that's pretty great. This lady here had some radiation on her face. I know that was not fun. That's got to be very painful around the nose. Thankfully for her, a friend gave her these. And in 3 weeks, look at the difference. Not only are we talking appearance, but we are talking pain level management. The thing I love is these are not just for humans, these are also for our fur babies. They started out on racehorses because when you have a very expensive horse and they tear a ligament or a tendon, you don't want to put them out to pasture. You can bring them back. And it's pretty great. And this is my own friend Terry's dog, Brutus. And I had told Terry, hey, don't throw away those used patches. Use them on Brutus. I know he's got that terrible arthritis. This poor dog, you could just see the pain as he tried to get up off of his little bed. But what I didn't realize is he had gone blind. And I told Terry, I even heard of a dog in Japan that regained his vision using these patches. So try it. Put it on the bed where he sleeps, or tape it on the inside of his collar, or put it on his hair if he'll let it stay there. And she called me a week later crying. And when we cried together, we jumped up and down. We couldn't believe it because Brutus regained his vision and he started following her around the house. And then about a month later, he wanted her to start throwing the ball again because the arthritis got under control. And we're going to talk about that when we get into this next section. But what I would love to do, if Holly, are you online with us? If Holly could unmute.
I am.
Awesome. Here's my dear friend Holly. We were just in the jungle together. She does
Yes, we
women's
were.
retreats. And it was such a joy to get to be there with you and get to share this with people that were looking for changes in life. And to get to share a gift like this was pretty fun, wasn't it?
It was. It was
Really great.
spectacular.
Yeah, so I'd love for you to tell everyone what you were dealing with before these came to you. And
Okay.
then what did you experience?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So yeah, I had so many things on the list. Um, and a few years back, I had a hip replacement in my left hip, and that was absolutely no fun. I have arthritis everywhere in my body, and there was just so much pain. There was bone on bone scraping in my knees. I went to Mexico and I had stem cell therapy done, cost me $10,000. I got a little relief for a little while, but it really didn't fix the problem. And fast forward a few years, which was 1 year ago, I started having the scraping and the severe pain and the limping in my right hip. And I knew that it would be only a matter of time before I would need to have a right hip replacement. And Tracy and I knew each other since high school, and she reached out to me to tell me about these patches. And because my daughter has heart disease, and she had seen a post I made, and we got to talking, and I shared with her all of the stuff that I was dealing with. And that I was limping and I could barely walk, and that I was going to have another hip replacement. And she said, oh my gosh, girl, these patches are going to like change your life. You need to get them. So I trusted her. I bought them and I put them on the counter, and I never opened them. And I was going between my two homes. I have a home in Vegas and a home in Utah. And about 4 months went by. I hadn't used them yet. And I kept thinking, one day I'm going to try those. And I reached out to Tracy to invite her to come to the jungle with me. And I was telling her that I was a little nervous about going because my hip is so bad. I'm in so much pain. I'm crying every day. I'm limping around. And she said, Holly, why don't you go get those patches that you bought from me? I promise you they're going to change your life. And I had like forgot all about them. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do that. And here it was 2 weeks away from us leaving for the jungle. And fast forward 2 weeks, I show up there. She shows up and I'm walking around. Like literally, the pain was almost non existent. I'd been wearing the X39 on my neck and I was wearing the Ice Wave on my hip. And I was just walking around like a normal human. And here we are now. It's been 1 year and I have lost 50 pounds, and my pain is pretty much non existent. I had a big bunion on my left big toe. It is almost gone. I had a lump right here. I had arthritis so bad I couldn't even open a water bottle. It's almost completely back to normal. My knees, I'm walking downstairs like normal. I used to go one step with both feet and then the next step with one, 1 foot, 1 foot. Now, the other day I had my grandbaby on my back and I was just going down the stairs at her house and I was like, 1 year ago, I could have never done this in a million years. And my husband took a video of me about 2 months ago skipping with my granddaughters. And he was like, I don't even know who you are. So getting off the ground was a problem. Now I can get up. So the weight is gone. I did this tummy protocol. The pain is non existent. I'm feeling like a new human. I like to say I'm getting my second wind of sexy back. And I'm 59 years young and I have never felt so good, so much energy. And I was on a call with Tracy a couple of months ago and she showed the slide of the scars. And I was like, wait a minute. And I ran in the bathroom to look at my scar from my hip replacement. And it was like white, like skin and thin. I was like, what is happening? Then I had a really bad scar here on my hand since I was in my 20s and it's like you can't barely see it anymore and it used to be red and it used to bother me. So my skin is repairing, my body is healing, my arthritis is like completely like under control. The weight is gone, the inflammation is gone. I wear the energy enhancer patches instead of drinking I used to drink an energy drink every day and I don't anymore. I drink a little bit of coffee in the morning, but my life has completely changed. I've done 180 degrees, and I just am forever grateful and thankful and love you, Tracy, so much for sharing these with me.
Aw, thank you. I love you right back. And it's so
Yeah,
fun to get to share it with the world. I feel like it's such a gift.
it
It's like
is.
a
My
magic
life has
wand of,
changed.
okay, what do you want in your health? What do you want to change? You can. I never
Yeah,
heard of anything like this.
me
And
either.
Holly just mentioned the energy enhancer, and I wanted to show you guys because, is all you could eat on that cruise. So I'm wearing these today here, and this is flushing our lymphatic system, and that's partly her secret of how she lost that weight, because this burns an extra 300 to 600 calories. So it's burning fat for fuel of the mitochondria. That's the energy center of the cell. And that's a lot of the athletes. This was the first one available to them that was doing so much good. But it does its magic by flushing the lymphatic system, which is something most of us really never do unless you're a runner or you do trampolines. Um, so it's so much easier to just put these on. And I like to rotate them around my body because you have different lymphatic systems. So shoulders, wrists, ankles.
Mm.
Really great if you do rotate them through. And I do caution, the older you are, the first time you use these, I don't want to scare anyone, but just to be real, you can experience a little bit of a flu-like symptom. But let me tell you, it's a whole lot better than going down, that fast growing cell path or so many other things that can happen if we leave that sludge in our body.
And it's
But
all temporary.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah,
and drink extra water and
yeah,
you're good.
yep.
And but anyway, I've learned so much, and that's why I started doing these little get-togethers a couple times a week, is just to help people learn and understand, because no, I didn't have a teacher. The man who shared this with us is my husband's best friend who sells garage doors, and he didn't have a clue what this was. And so I had to go and do my own research. So I'm just trying to make it easier for people. But thank you, Holly, for sharing. We just love to hear your story. We never tire of these stories. And that's really why I share this the way I do, because it's just so fun. Um, so fun.